Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, forget everything you think you know about golf improvement. We are putting the driver away, and we're going to focus entirely on what happens between your ears. Because consistency, your scoring potential, it really relies on how you think your way around the course, not just the quality of your swing on any given Sunday. We are diving deep into smart course strategy. For way too long, the obsession in golf, especially for amateurs, has just been about mechanics, the perfect plane, compression, the latest high-speed video analysis. But, the best players know that a poor strategy can turn a perfect swing into a penalty stroke faster than you can say four. Our source material today is just phenomenal. It gives us a real shortcut to intelligent game management. It's from Henrik Jensch, the director of Golf Academy 360 Degrees, and it's a guide powered by AI Golf Chat.
And what's so fascinating here is that this isn't just someone's textbook theory. This strategy is, it's intensely practical because it's built on actual evidence. We're talking years of coaching feedback, 3D motion capture data from elite players, and AI-powered insights that pinpoint the exact decisions that lower scores. The goal for you listening today is simple. We're giving you the playbook to avoid those massive, unforced errors, the blow-up-holes that just wreck your scorecard. We're creating a framework for better decisions, and it doesn't matter if your handicap is 5 or 25.
I love that. It's about maximizing the swing you already have. Okay, let's get into it. Our mission is to distill this down into 4 critical pillars for better scoring. We're going to cover decision-making, the pre-shot routine, ball flight shaping, and finally, distance control. Let's jump right into that first principle because it's the biggest mental shift in the entire guide. The source stresses that every shot starts with a decision, not a club.
Absolutely. That's the key. The average amateur walks up, sees the distance, grabs the club they think will get them there, say, a 7-iron. And only then do they look up and start factoring in the wind or a hazard.
So it's completely backwards.
Completely. Great players reverse this flow. They start with the strategy first.
And the key insight here is crucial. This is about playing smart, not just playing safe. There's a real difference.
There is. Playing safe might mean just laying up every single time.
Right.
But playing smart means assessing risk versus reward. It's about executing the shot that gives you the highest statistical probability of success.
So how do you actually do that?
Well, to adopt this professional mindset, Henrik Jensch outlines 3 critical questions you have to ask before you even think about which club to pull.
Okay, let's start with the first one. It's about precision.
First, what is the precise target? And this might sound obvious, but you have to move beyond just seeing the flagstick.
You mean like the flag isn't always the target?
Exactly. If the flag is tucked back right, your target might actually be the dead center of the green. Or maybe it's a specific landing zone 20 yards short of the pin. You have to eliminate ambiguity.
Okay, that makes sense. The second question is about the execution itself. What's the ideal ball flight?
Yeah, you have to decide that up front. Straight, fade, or draw. We tend to think of this as some super advanced skill, but you have to choose the trajectory that's safest and most effective for that specific shot. A slight fade might be the difference between the green and the woods.
And the third question, which I think is where the rubber meets the road for, preventing those double bogeys, is asking where is the best miss?
This is the foundation of intelligent golf. You have to proactively decide where you can afford to miss and still stay in play.
You're basically planning for failure.
You are. And it sounds negative, but it's the most protective thing you can do. If the left side has a deep bunker and the right side is just an easy chip, the best miss is always right.
That's so hard to do, though, psychologically. The impulse is just to aim at the flag. We never think about aiming away from trouble.
It takes discipline, but it saves strokes. Let's use the example from the source to make it concrete. You're 160 yards to the pin. It's an easy, full 7-iron for you. But there's water short and right of the green.
Right. An immediate penalty stroke. So the mechanical player just grabs the 7-iron, tries to hit it pure, and is basically gambling.
Precisely. The strategic player sees the water and realizes that even a slight mishit, just 5 yards short or a little push to the right,
Puts you in the water.
puts you in the water. So what's the smart choice?
Aim for the center of the green.
Aim for the center, maybe even take a soft, controlled 6-iron. You build in a safety margin. You're exchanging a tiny chance of a hole-in-one for a near certain chance of avoiding a penalty and making par. That's the pro choice every single time.
Okay, so once that smart decision is made, the target, the shape, the miss, you still have to execute it. And that brings us to our second segment, the pre-shot routine, which the source calls your mental fortress.
Yeah, and the routine is probably the most undervalued tool in amateur golf. It's the anchor that links your strategy to your execution. When the pressure's on, you always revert to habit. If your habit is chaos, your shots will be chaotic.
I think most amateurs would say they don't have time or they feel rushed. What's the take on that?
The guide clarifies that the routine has to be efficient, not slow. It's about being deliberate and rhythmic. It's a predictable sequence that forces you to commit. Without it, you're just reacting to anxiety. With it, you're in control.
So the source gives a really specific 5-step sequence for this. Let's walk through them.
Step one is decide. This is where you finalize everything we just talked about. Target, shape, club. You gather the info and lock in the plan. Step two is visualize. This is the mental blueprint. You picture the entire shot. The flight, the landing, the roll.
I find that one the hardest. It's tough to see the perfect shot when you're still thinking about the slice from the last hole.
And you have to actively replace that negative image. The routine forces you into preparation mode. If you can't visualize the shot working, you need to go back to step one and pick a different shot that you can visualize.
So the plan has to feel possible in your mind first.
That visualization leads right into step three, which is feel, the physical rehearsal. You're not just taking random practice swings, you're rehearsing the motion with intent, the tempo, the rhythm, the finish that will produce the shot you just pictured.
And then comes the big one. Step 4, commit.
This is where it all lives or dies. You let go of all doubt, trust the plan, and you step in to execute. If you stand over the ball too long, doubt creeps in, and the routine is broken. No last-second thoughts.
Okay, and then step 5 is after the shot. Reflect.
Correct, but it's a rapid feedback loop, and it's focused on the process, not the result. Did I stick to my routine? Did I commit? If the shot was bad, but you did everything right, the flaw is mechanical. If you rushed, the flaw is in your routine.
It's like the tour insight they mentioned. Top players do the exact same routine on every single shot to minimize that mental variability.
And maximize physical consistency.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
They automate the mental part to focus on the physical. So, speaking of execution, let's move to segment 3, ball flight mastery, shaping the ball with purpose.
Yeah, for a lot of our listeners, shaping the ball means an accidental slice or a hook. The source is really clear. Controlling the ball's curvature, fades, and draws is what separates a proficient golfer from an average one.
So why does that matter so much for scoring?
It just gives you so many more options. You can access pins tucked behind bunkers, you can navigate doglegs, you can handle the wind way more effectively.
Right, if you only have one shot shape, you're pretty limited.
You're stuck. You often have to aim into a hazard just to get close to the pin.
The good news is the source says this isn't about some complicated hand manipulation. It's all about your setup and path. Let's break down the recipe for a right-handed player.
Okay, let's start with the fade. That's the shot that moves gently from left to right. The whole principle relies on the relationship between your club path and your club face.
All right, give us the setup.
To hit a fade, you need to set up to promote a path that moves left. First, aim your body, feet, hips, shoulders left of your actual target. Second, you commit to swinging along that body line. So the club path is moving left of the intended landing spot.
Okay, so the path is going left. What about the face?
That's the crucial part. The club face needs to be slightly open relative to that leftward swing path. Think of it like this. The path determines where the ball starts, and the face determines the curve. A path moving left with a face open to that path makes the ball start left and then curve back to the target.
That's a great way to think about it. Path is start, face is curve. So for a draw, the right to left shot, you just flip it.
You just flick the script, aim your body and feet right of the target, swing from the inside so your club path is moving to the right. And finally, your club face has to be slightly closed relative to that path.
So the ball starts right because the path is right, and then the closed face makes it spin back to the left onto the target line.
Exactly. And a great training tip from Jens is to practice this on the range using alignment sticks. This isn't about yanking the club around. It's about building the shape from your foundation, your alignment, so you don't have to manipulate anything at impact.
That structured approach fits perfectly with our last segment. Let's zoom in on the ultimate test of control, distance control. The core idea being swing length, not raw power.
This is totally non-negotiable for lower scores, especially inside, say, 130 meters. Elite players rarely, if ever, hit their scoring clubs full out. Hitting a wedge at 100% effort just introduces too much variability. They prioritize consistency.
And the source gives us a brilliant system for this, the clock face system.
Yeah.
It's such a simple visual language for measuring your backswing.
It simplifies things immensely. You take one club, let's use a pitching wedge as an example, and you define 4 key distances based on where your hands stop on the backswing. It turns an emotional swing into a measurable one.
Walk us through those 4 positions, and we should say these distances are just approximations that you have to calibrate for yourself.
Of course. So we start low, the 7:30 o'clock position. Hands stop at about waist height. That's your shortest shot, maybe around 110 meters. It's a clean, quiet strike.
Okay, and moving up the clock, the 9:30 o'clock position,
Mhm.
that brings your hands to chest height, and that bumps the distance up to roughly 120 meters.
Then you get to the higher control swings, the 11:30 o'clock position near your shoulder. That's about 130 meters. And finally, 12 o'clock is your full swing, your maximum carry of, say, 140 meters.
The genius here is the application. You just match your repeatable swing length, 7.3, 9.00, 11.3 to the target distance. It takes out all the guesswork.
It boosts confidence massively. You know your 9.0 swing produces that number without needing a huge effort.
But the listener has to do the work.
They do. This system is useless if you don't calibrate it. You have to get on a launch monitor or use measured markers on the range to find your own distances for each clock position. And then you have to test how wind, or a wet ball, or a bad lie affects those numbers. They have to become your distances.
This has been a massive deep dive into the 4 pillars of strategic golf.
Mm.
I think we've established that you absolutely do not need tour-level speed to drastically improve your scoring. You just need better decisions and a repeatable approach.
That's the entire point. The strategy itself is completely learnable, but it has to be practiced. The path to lower scores is crystal clear. Start every hole with a plan that includes the best miss, know your clock face distances, use shot shape when you need to, and maybe most importantly, stick to that pre-shot routine.
You have to practice the way you intend to play. Stop just swinging aimlessly on the range.
Exactly. Integrate these things into every practice session. If you commit to implementing even a fraction of this, if you simply start analyzing the best miss on every shot, I promise you will see scores drop, your confidence will soar, and you'll enjoy the game more because you finally feel in control.
So we walk through that 5-step routine. Decide, visualize, feel, commit, and reflect. We know the knowledge is there. We know the strategy works. But I want to leave you with one provocative thought for the next time you step up to a critical shot. If knowledge and planning are truly what matters, how much scoring potential are you actively sacrificing by failing to fully commit? That's step 4 to the intelligent plan you just decided on. Think about the mental trust that it takes to execute that strategy and what happens when you let doubt fracture that entire process. That's the final frontier of scoring.